Hi guys, I'm Anime Mixer 1, AM1 for short, and today I'm gonna take you through what you should and maybe shouldn't have watched through the fall season of 2017. It's been over for about a month now, and I didn't watch that much then, and honestly I should have gotten down to just doing this video earlier, but shit happens. Also, I'm a lazy bastard. So I'm just gonna go through them in no particular order and give you my thoughts. Also keep in mind I'll only give recommendations or anti-recommendations for stuff I have watched. If I didn't watch it, I can't say anything about it. I mean, this coming seasons I won't have time to watch a lot either, so those reviews are gonna be really short. But let's go on and start off. I'm just watching a list on Mal, just reminding me of what I have watched. So I'm just gonna take it in no particular order. I'm just going top to bottom, which means that I start with the new TV series that started airing in the fall of 2017, and right at the top, Mahotsukai no Yome, the ancient Magus' bride, which is amazing. Now, because it's not complete, I don't think it truly deserves a place on the Anime of the Year list for Crunchyroll's Anime Awards, but I wouldn't have been surprised if it was there. I later would find that March Comes In Like a Lion is also on the list, and that hasn't completed yet. It started about the same time as Magus Bride, but basically, I mean, both of them are good, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, Mahotsukai no Yome, just basically, if you haven't watched it yet, it's really worth your time. Even if you're not generally an anime fan, this is worth your time. Especially if you're into romantic stuff, this is worth your time. I got a friend who's really into romantic stuff, not so much anime, but romantic stuff, loves Ancient Magus Bride. So that's your recommendation right there, just watch it. There are other brilliant qualities to it too, but you're better off just experiencing them for yourself rather than having me try to somewhat explain to you what's good about it. Just watch it, it's good. Then there's Aashiqui, which is, its animation is actually what kind of makes this one a little bit because the hero and the villain of the story are quite original, I dare say. They're unique, they're things you don't see a lot. But the animation has this trying to have this blend of 2D and 3D, which doesn't blend very well when they try to just go from one to the other. It becomes very weird to watch. Each by themselves, they're good, the CG is good and the 2D is good, but when they try to mix them together like that, it just becomes weird. That said, it's a really dramatic and epic story, and it's only 11 episodes long, so it won't take you that much time to just binge it if you want it, and you might want to binge it because, you know, cliffhangers are plentiful here. Also has a nominee for Villain of the Year, which I don't think he'll win, even though I wish he would, but that you have to watch the series itself to understand that, because I don't want to spoil too much. A very, I wish I could say action-oriented anime, but Juni Taisen, which it sold itself as a free-for-all 12v12 battle, it's sort of like Fate Stay Night in a way. Here you have 12 warriors representing the Zodiac, and they all have to fight against each other, and it starts off very unpredictable. You get introduced to this character, which you think, yeah, here we go, main character and all, dead. From that point on, you think, oh my god, who's gonna win then? But after 3 episodes, it goes from being very, oh, what's gonna happen, till, oh my god, this is so predictable now. Which really sucks. It had potential there. If it just didn't give away basically who dies, then it would have been much better. I wouldn't call it a must-see. It has some spectacular moments too, but the action surprisingly takes a backseat to a lot of just backstories and explanations and exposition, and it's just not very good on the action, which just sucks because it's supposed to be action-oriented. But because there is so little action, it kind of defeats the point of the anime to begin with. It might be worth your time if you absolutely love free-for-all battle royales, but you don't have to force your way to watch this. Next up, A Slice of Life, Shoujo Shumatsu Ryoko, or Girl's Last Tour. And the premise is interesting. You have 2 girls with a sort of belt bike, military vehicle that drive around in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and they're looking for food, ammo, yes, they use guns, and they're just trying to survive. And this is but it's really cute. The two girls are really cute. Sometimes they meet other people, but usually they don't. And it's very lighthearted usually, very philosophical, looks at the world. These two girls don't really know a lot about the world, they're just alone, and they've been alone in the world since who knows when. And they are learning things about the world just throughout the entirety of the series. Like, even something, this is a tiny spoiler, but it's not like it means anything, but at one point we learn that they don't really know what music is, but they in a way discover what it might be, and what it is you'll have to see for yourself. But it always has this dark undertone, especially towards the end. There's a really dark undertone to it, and I think that it might make some people uncomfortable. To me personally, I usually actually got bored watching it. Like, in my mind, I can understand this is actually good, but I just couldn't shake the feeling that I'm sitting there going. So if you're not a fan of slower paced series with a little bit of philosophical bits thrown in and like just good moe girls, then you might want to skip it. But if you, I don't know what kind of person I'd actually recommend this for, but you might want to pick it up. It's certainly interesting. Watch the first episode, perhaps, and then make up your mind. Because the first episode is very representative of the series as a whole, I believe. Maybe watch 2 just to be sure. They got a little bit different focuses each episode, but they all usually have the same feel to them. Now, rounding off that comes another anime that I have already mentioned. It's March Counting Like a Lion, aka Sangatsu no Lion in Japanese. It's the 2nd season, and basically it just continues where March Counting Like a Lion left off. It's about a boy playing shogi, but this time he's actually taking a back seat to some of the side characters, because there is, this is not really a spoiler, but I think it's important to mention, like, the first half of the 2nd season is basically an arc about one of the girls, the side characters, that are being bullied in school. And the bullying arc just hits right home. Like, Sangatsu no Lion has the same problem as Girls Last Tour. It can be boring at times. But when you throw in something so relatable as being bullied, which I think a lot of people have experienced, it just hits so hard home. And you're sitting there watching, and you just want to see what happens, and you are cheering for her. It's still not over though, it's still ongoing, but just that arc in itself is worth watching. I think even out of context, I mean, even without watching the first season, you could probably watch that arc in the 2nd season and still be moved to bits. You don't need to know the characters to begin with, you don't need to know who are what or whatever. You catch on pretty quickly, and I think you'll love it. That's basically reason enough to watch it for me. Also, the fall season graced us with another season of Gintama, which left on a bit of a cliffhanger last time it left off, and then it came back and it was a filler season. But you know what? More Gintama is more Gintama. Now in the winter season, they're showing the final season, and I'm just going, no, it can't be the final one! Honestly, I didn't mind having the filler arc there, because you know what? Unlike so many other anime's filler arc, you know what? Nobody cares if Gintama has filler or not. You can't really distinguish between a Gintama filler arc and a Gintama non-filler arc. The only reason you'd know it was a filler arc is because this arc just shoved itself with random stories in between, like where we know there's a bit of drama and there's not space for that shit in between there. So they just, we'll throw in some filler here. And you know what? I was happy. It made me laugh. Gintama makes me laugh. Gintama makes me happy. Gintama is good. Gintama is love. Gintama is one of the best anime ever made. Period. Another thing that made me laugh this fall season was Anime Catrice, an anime that basically redefined what it means to be meta. If you thought Recreators had a bit of a meta message, you haven't watched Anime Catrice. It's just insane. I'm not suggesting this for anybody who isn't very well versed in anime. It falls on so many cliches, so many tropes, so much geek talk in anime. It would be hard for anybody who's not in the know to follow. Basically, we follow the story of a girl who's trying to find out what an anime she watched when she was a kid is called, because she can't find it again. And on the way, they end up making the anime club, and everything starts off well and all, but then all of a sudden the world starts going more anime-like, and it's just, you have to watch it to understand. The real world and the anime world just sort of blend together in a mess that is so hilarious. There are some issues with how it sort of ties everything together, but everything can just be like it's the thing, everything is a cliche, but it's so on purpose, and there's so many of them that it actually becomes something unique, so it's hard to say whether the ending was actually good or bad, but it's definitely a laugh to watch if you're well versed in anime. They even do a lot of shit with the opening theme. I'm serious, you have to watch the opening theme every time, because sometimes they do stuff which you will notice. One episode they even replay the opening scene just to check for a detail, and it's weird. Watch it, just watch it if you want to find out what I mean. Now we're off the list of anime that started the fall season of 2017, and now we're on the ones that ended. And there's only one I watched that ended in fall 2017, and that's Fate Apocrypha. Another installment in the Fate franchise, and it's hard to see where I'm supposed to put it, but apparently it's an alternate universe, which makes sense because there's a lot of... If you watched Fate Stay Night specifically, and Fate Zero, then you'll notice some character crossover names and things and such, and it just makes everything kind of weird. As a standalone anime, I think it's actually pretty good, but you can't really watch it without the knowledge of the previous anime, which makes it kind of weird to watch. Although if you're watching it for the action, which is probably one of the best. It's probably one of the best action anime of the year, period. And in Crunchyroll's Anime Awards, I'd actually give this best action, period. And I know what you're saying. Oh, but what about My Hero Academia? Yeah, sure, My Hero Academia was good, and it had. I still think the Todoroki versus Deku moment. Bam! That's the best action moment of the year. But just overall action, I think Fate Apocrypha takes it, because here's the thing: imagine you have several fists that are punching faces, and you have to judge which punch to the face is best. Now, you are not judging the fist by its backstory. Like, if as the fist goes forward, does the backstory matter? Is the backstory making the fist any more spectacular? No. How about after the fist has hit the face? Does how it forward the plot afterwards determine how good the fist-to-face action was? No. My Hero Academia has a lot of very good fist backstory, is an after a face punch plot progression. But while the actual fist-to-face animation they have is pretty good, it's also pretty standard. It's very shonen, whereas Fate Apocrypha has just much better overall fist-to-face action as a whole. If you look at Fate Apocrypha's fist-to-faces across the series and My Hero Academia's fist-to-faces across the series, then the actual fist-to-face in Fate Apocrypha, I dare say, is better. My Hero Academia has better backstory for the fist and better plot progression after fist hits face, but actual fist-to-face, Fate Apocrypha wins. Have I made myself clear? Was this an understandable metaphor? I hope so. Anyway, I was in a podcast with a few people and we discussed the Crunchyroll Anime Award nominees, and I'll leave a link in the description so you can see and hear. It's mostly sound, but you can hear what we had to say. My anime list is also trying to tell me that Hitori no Shita, the Outcasts second season, and Today's Venue for Emiya's Family started in the fall season of 2017. And it's not technically wrong, but Hitori no Shita, the Outcasts second season had a episode 0, which aired before New Year, and Emiya-san had the same thing where the first episode broadcast before the new year, so they're technically winter 2018 anime, so I'll cover them when that time comes. And that wraps up this list of what I watched in the fall 2017 season. I didn't watch a lot, but I hope you got some ideas from this list about things you should have watched. Again, I'll leave a link in the description to the podcast where I was discussing Crunchyroll's Anime Awards this year. I won't be watching that much anime in the coming seasons because I am going to be really busy, but I'm going to be watching a little bit and hopefully get out some seasonal overviews on time. But those videos are for the future, so until then remember, I have been Anime Mixer 1 and I approve of this video.